Hey, how's it going everyone? It's GameXA here with some more daily gaming news. Today we have 3 Nintendo news stories to go over, but before that, I would greatly appreciate it if you would kindly smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Of course, thank you to those that do. So first up, we have a hands-on preview of the new Fire Emblem Engage game, this coming from GameInformer.com. And some of the main takeaways I read were about how this entry seems to attempt to blend the gameplay styles of the older Fire Emblem games with the more recent games like Three Houses. So far, it looks like the main draw to the older games would be the more traditional implementation of the weapon triangle system, which was more of an optional thing in the recent game. Aside from that, in an overworld map, Fire Emblem Engage seems to lean heavily on the mechanics of the more recent entries in the series. You have a home base of sorts similar to the Academy from Three Houses, where in between missions you can raise your affinity with party members and participate in other side activities or mini games for a variety of benefits that can help you out in battle. And then of course, like the title implies, you have the Engage system, which lets you don the power of one of the heroes from the past Fire Emblem games, which acts as like a character buff of sorts that has a variety of effects. Now I love the formula in Three Houses, so this sounds great to me. But so far in the first 10 hours or so, the story seems to be not as engaging as Three Houses. But the Game Informer previewer does mention that it's still relatively early for a Fire Emblem game, as I had well over 50 hours just in my first playthrough of Three Houses. Also, on the subject of story, the previewer mentioned that they have not yet seen any indication of multiple paths or storylines yet, so we'll have to wait and see if we have any important decisions to make. I would say this is almost certainly in the game, as even earlier Fire Emblem games had different story paths depending on choices that you made, like who you saved and who you recruited. Overall though, this was a good to great preview, and I'm already hyped for the game's release later this month. Not sure this will bring in any new fans, but I am curious what you think about Fire Emblem Engage. Is it a buy, pass, or wait for sale? Let us know in the comments below, and check out the full Game Informer preview for more information about the game. Moving on, I thought it was worth mentioning that in the UK, the Nintendo Switch reached the top consoles sold, and we'll read an article from the VideoGamesChronicle.com for reference here. It's titled, Nintendo Switch narrowly topped UK console sales in 2022. And just reading some of the main highlights. According to GfK sales data published on GameIndustry.biz, 2 million game consoles were sold in the UK last year, down 29% compared to 2021 overall. The drop was mainly attributed to the PlayStation 5 supply shortages and a decline in Switch sales. Nintendo's console ended the year as the best-selling console ahead of the PlayStation 5 and in third place, Xbox Series X and S, although fewer than 60,000 units separated the three systems. The facts are in the numbers there, as they say, and I thought highlighting that the Switch is still beating the competition in console sales would segue nicely into the next story. And this headline comes from GameSpot.com titled, Price Hikes Across the Board for Games in 2023 Predicted by Analysts. And we're going to read pretty much the whole article here, but it's not too long. So in 2023, the video game industry will see price increases across the board, according to one analyst. Dr. Serkin Toto of Kanta Games said in an interview with GameIndustry.biz that fans should expect price hikes for games, hardware, and subscriptions as studios attempt to make up for rising costs. He's quoted here, not all studios have hiked prices to keep up with the rise of production and other costs in game development so far, but gamers are likely to see prices go up across the board in 2023, Toto said. Microsoft, for example, has already announced that it is raising prices on its AAA games for 2023 from $60 to $70. All of Microsoft's games are also included on Xbox Game Pass, and some believe that the subscription service will see a price increase too. Toto said of his predicted price increase, I believe this trend will not only affect individual AAA titles, but also subscription services and hardware, especially from Microsoft. The Nintendo Switch, however, won't see a price increase in 2023, Toto said. Things could change, however, if Nintendo releases new hardware, as has been rumored for some time. In 2022, Sony raised the price of the PlayStation 5 in many places around the world, but not the US, in response to the global economy issue. For the Xbox price increase, Phil Spencer said something had to give when Microsoft looked at its balance sheet Nintendo is affected by growing costs too, but the company is not passing those costs along to consumers and is keeping Switch prices intact. And I would argue they probably feel the effect of the price increases from inflation and how hard it is to get these microchips to make electronics in general. They're probably not feeling that as much as Sony and Microsoft, because the Switch just isn't as powerful. But I would agree that inflation and rising game development costs are finally going to hit consumers of games' wallets in the next year or so, but Nintendo does appear to be insulated or protected against that, at least for now. It's obvious the reason is due to the Switch being a last generation console, and like the article mentioned, when Nintendo's new console is released, they also might raise prices, but as we saw in the prior story, Switch sales are still going strong, so we can expect Nintendo's prices to remain the same for a while longer, as they don't appear to have a real need or incentive to release new hardware at the moment. Most gaming industry insiders believe a hypothetical Switch 2 would launch no sooner than in 2024, and really it lines up with prior timeframes between Nintendo console life cycles. But it's all just speculation at the moment. But when do you think that we'll see the next follow-up to the Switch? Let us know down in the comments below. And that's going to do it for this video. Feel free to comment on anything we discuss in the comment section. I always try to reply. While you're there, don't forget to snipe the like button if this video helped kill some time. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But most importantly, thanks for watching GameXA.